Looking at the United States, many people will say that we are a global leader in many different aspects. However, there exist critical areas in which we have major room for improvement. For the next several minutes, we will take you through the different experiences we have encountered in India and learn what the US can take away from a developing country. And we will discuss 3 different ways in which the US can learn from India from the experiences that we have gained throughout our trip. The US is known for its innovation and technology, but where we fall short is in the ability to produce the goods and services at the most affordable price. India is one of the largest growing countries and has found a way to manufacture goods and provide services at the lowest possible cost.
First, we will visit the global company Fortis, where we will get a first-hand look at a brand new healthcare facility. In the past few years, healthcare costs have been on the rise in the U.S. These expenses are driving a major change in the world, making medical tourism a very attractive option. Instead of getting major procedures done within the country, many people are finding the appeal of seeking treatment in other locations around the world. If you can get the same services and care for thousands of dollars less, why not go on a vacation while saving money? Statistics show that in January alone, over $5 billion was spent by 3.3 million travelers visiting India for medical tourism purpose. It is further expected to increase over 8% in the next 10 years, making India the highest sought destination in the world for medical tourism. The fact that the U.S. is losing internal revenue to developing countries shows the significance of the fact that the U.S. can learn a lot from India. A survey conducted by Patients Beyond Borders shows the jaw-dropping differences in cost. In 2011, you could pay $88,000 for a coronary artery bypass graft in the U.S., or $9,500 in India, which saw the highest average savings at 65 to 90%. The U.S. should take being able to provide necessary services at a more reasonable cost away from India. If the U.S. could reduce the cost for treatment, more revenue would stay within the country.
What do you feel that America can learn from the practices that you do here at this hospital?
I think what we do best is that we treat the same thing at a low cost. So that's what they should learn.
Okay.
Nothing else. That's what we have to learn from the technology part, from the expertise part from them, and probably how we can reduce the cost. The cost is less. The doctors here are being paid a good amount of money. Even then the cost is less. I think the cost of consumable, the insurance sector, which is not influencing much. Probably, it's a mixed model which has to be there. It's not right to say that whether US is right. See, we are following US model everywhere, UK, US in terms of the healthcare, we are following that. But what we feel it is the cost factor which is a different which we have. That's something which they should look at, that how is it working out here.
Agree.
Thank you.
Another example of business in India that is successful at keeping costs low is the eyeglass retailer. They are able to give eye exams and get the results back significantly faster than they do in America. Not only were eye exams given faster, which saves money, but the glasses themselves are manufactured at a lesser cost, which in turn is sold at a more affordable price. The U.S. should consider how India is able to produce and provide the glasses so efficiently and cost-effectively.
During our stay in India, we have witnessed the impact that the incorporation of entrepreneurship has made on society. Entrepreneurship is the professional application of knowledge and skills and or monetizing a new idea by an individual or a set of people by launching an enterprise or diversifying from an existing one. The goal is ultimately to pursue growth while generating wealth, employment, and social good. 3 crucial characteristics of entrepreneurial activity are risk-taking, innovation, and venturing into new business activities for profit. This idea of entrepreneurship is the basis of the creation of jobs throughout India. This differs from the United States as people seek self-employment as in a trade or profession, such as the lucrative Fortune 500 companies. In American society pushes its citizens to work for these big companies and collect even bigger paychecks despite the overall utility or happiness within a company. We learned in India that this is not the case, as India is very different. Indians are encouraged to start their own companies over seeking employment in a company which one may despise. Over half of the entrepreneurs in India are self-financed, and they take on these risks to start the businesses that they desire. They tend to follow their passions and will pursue it until the end. In India, the government remains inefficient for the most part when it comes to developing one's business. There is less financial support, if any, in India compared to the US. Therefore, Indians find vibrant new ways of doing things and will try to get funding from the private sector of society. The entrepreneurial activity in India is also associated with the exercise of Indians getting things done more efficiently and creatively in response to constraints that people find themselves immersed in. This acts as an incentive for entrepreneurs to start their own businesses. While in India, we have an opportunity to visit some entrepreneurs and the companies they founded, including Max Group, Oxygen, and Rakishan's Pilar's corporate Chanukah presentation. For example, we visited Max Group, started by an entrepreneur who worked hard all his life and took the risk of opening his own business. He, as well as many entrepreneurs in India, believe that education is a critical factor that determines success. Therefore, he received an undergraduate degree in engineering, and after saving up enough money, he later founded Max Group. His entrepreneurship helps to create jobs for Indians, including his immediate family members. At Oxygen, we spoke with founding board members of the company who spoke about taking the risk and creating the company. Oxygen is India's first and largest payment solution provider who aggregates and distributes prepaid services, including postpaid bills, landlines, ticketing, and subscriptions. They have over 100,000 outlets for kiosk banking services, which allows money transfers and withdrawals from people living in India. The entrepreneurship has provided between 200 to 500 jobs in India and has contributed to a higher welfare of society. Finally, we attended Dr. Rakishan Pilar's presentation on corporate Chanukah. As an educated, successful entrepreneur, he spoke about the principles of leadership, management, and training. He stated that an overwhelming 65% of the Indian economy is composed of entrepreneurs. He discussed the 7 pillars of business, the most notably being the Swami or King. Dr. Pillai concludes his presentation by advising that it would be best to be our own Swami boss in a small country. This is a key element to the encouragement of entrepreneurs within India.
So what do you, in your opinion, what do you feel like the U.S. government can learn from that?
One of the problems that I have found in US, my personal opinion, is that economy's revival is mostly strategized by creating more jobs, isn't it? The president always said, let's create jobs. So if you look at all the World Economic Forums. But in India, we say differently, let's create more entrepreneurs. So start thinking like an employer rather than an employee. If you look at, it's like, why should the government take care of the whole burden of people? In India, we say localize it. Let everybody take care of his own business. Let everybody micromanage it. So yes, the government should create the jobs. But interestingly, I'll tell you, in India, we never apply to the government for jobs. Do you know this? Even though there is a government department which keeps track of people who are unemployed. But nobody applies. Because what we believe is that you have to put the efforts either to look out for a job or you have to create your own companies. 65% of India, that's a huge number in a country of 1.2 billion people. 65% of Indian economy is run by small and medium scale businessmen. You know that? And you know how many people in India actually works in the organized sectors who have jobs in India? 17%.
In India, there are many different religions and high religious tolerance and acceptance. When we went to the Sikh temple, Professor Kahai spoke about how this religion is very welcoming and does not discriminate against different religious, sex, age, customs, and etc. It is held in a high regard to be very close to family in India than it is in the US. Even as guests, we were treated like family. Nearly everyone we encountered spoke of their family. Even the corporate leaders always claimed their success was largely, in part, driven by the strong support of their families. A sense which we got from all the corporations we went to is that work is heavily supported by families. In the case of Max Group, the CEO even expanded his business to allow the sons and daughters to be involved in their own department of the company. Overall, one thing America can learn from India is a balance between religion, family, and work life. Usually in America, it comes off that we have to choose between all of it, while in India, they don't view these topics as separate, but as something which is one. Reviewing what we learned in the past few minutes, it is evident that the U.S. as a country can learn a lot from India, including reducing costs, stronger advocating of entrepreneurship, and balancing different aspects of life. However, it is notable to consider what we can learn as individuals in order to impact the whole country.
One of the things that I've learned since being here is the opportunity to be a sponge once again so late in my career. All right, so I'm 50 plus, and think about that, and you think about maybe your parents were my age, and could you put them in a totally different environment at this point in their life, and being able to grasp the new concepts and new understandings of how people live and work, and how to I learned a lot since I've been here in many different aspects. I think I'm a much more patient person now than I ever would have been if I did move to India. So that's the biggest thing.
Thank you. However, it is notable to consider what we can learn as individuals in order to impact the whole country. A PwC correspondent said it best, but the true take-home message was to be a sponge and be open to learning. If everyone kept an open mind and was more accepting to things, we could potentially reduce costs, have more smaller businesses, and be able to better balance family, religion, and work together. This is not something that we can learn as a country, but if done by everyone at an individual level, the country can then become its best self.